Hello viewers, you are welcome to the program Behind the Pulpit on New Frontiers Television, where we bring to spotlight the ministers of God. My name is Victoria Anyoleye. Today is not an exception. Of course, there's going to be a new dimension Behind the Pulpit, because this time around, we want to bring into spotlight our directors in the Nigerian Baptist Convention. And most of them, they've been church pastors. They've pastored various churches. They've served in the association level. They've served in the conference level before they were given the opportunity to come to the convention to serve as directors. Now, this week on Behind the Pulpit, yes, we caught a big fish. Who is this person? Who do we want to know this week on Behind the Pulpit? Stay tuned, because after this break, I will reveal my guest to you. Please stay with us. Yes, you are welcome back from that break. Today, I'm here with the Director of Ecumenism of the Nigerian Baptist Convention, Reverend Dr. Testimony Onifade. You are welcome on the show, sir.
Thank you, my sister. You are welcome as well.
Thank you, sir. Who exactly is Dr. Testimony Onifade?
Dr. Testimony Onifade is known as Oyewole Olusoji Onifade. That was the name given to me by my parents when I was born, June 21st, 1962. That boy you call Testimony Onifade became a testifier by life experiences. Testimony wasn't part of the name given to me when I was born, but it came out of life encounter, serious, pathetic life experiences, which is to really acknowledge God's goodness and generosity in saving my life out of accidents that consumed so many lives. Oyewole Olusoji Onifade is native of Ifan, Osun in Orolu local government, Osun state. But I was born in Osogbo at Oluode's compound. My father was a first generation Christian. We are known to be believers in Ifa Oracle, because the father of my father, Akinyemi Onifade, is known to be an Okpele man. And I want to thank God that today we are what we are, to the glory of God.
So what was your childhood? What was it like?
I was brought up in different areas.
Okay.
My father used to be a teacher, and my mother was known to be what we call fashion designer today, a tailor. Later on went to Divisional Teachers Training College, Eruwa. So both of them, I can say they are teachers. So my childhood days were spent in different places. As a teacher's son, my father was transferred to Ilaje. I moved to Ilaje. Ilaje is in Osun, it's in Ogbomoso territory. From there to Ogbomoso Township. From there, I found myself in Igboho, where I started my primary school, Igbope. As a teacher's son, I was able to, in 1967, I just did my primary 1 and primary 2. From there, it was transferred again to Onya. So I did just primary 3 there. And that time, it was a little bit tough because I had to stop schooling for 1 year because my parents gave birth to twins. And there was no one to help us as house help. So I needed to assist my mother packing the children, the twins. Because we had first set of twins, this time we have another second set of twins. So at the end of the day, we have 3 sets of twins. That affected my schooling in 1969-70. I had to back the set of twins for 1 year. The following year, I started again. I found myself in another place where my father was transferred to, and that is Coerced. I completed my primary school at Baptist Primary School, Coerced. So my childhood days can be pictured from that angle. And because my mother was a trader. She was very, very, very active, very enterprising. She was a passionate woman, mother who always sought ways of making life easier for her children. So she has so many apprentices. Eventually, when we left Igboho side to Coerced here, that was when I was relieved. Then some of the apprentices were the one helping us to take care of the children. And my mother doubled up by selling puff buns. So she made a counter for me. At exactly 1 a.m., she woke me up. We prepared the living flour so that after we have mixed it together, we go back and sleep. By 5 a.m., we started baking them, roasting them. And by 6, I carried my counter. That small glass she made for me. And I started facing places to sell them. So I did that for a number of years. So that enabled me to cover so many villages around Coerced, even before I go to school in the morning.
Wow. I would say that your childhood was actually quite eventful.
I've been privileged to be part of people who go to a place in Guangzhou where you'll be looking for people who will pick you to go and do lalabia. I sincerely appreciate God that all those days God was preparing us for greater things. Yeah. When I was serving as apprentice for bricklayer, when I was serving as vendor, selling newspapers during holidays, daily times, daily sketch. You'll be running after vehicles. Yes, we were doing that with Lucky Jacks. At 4 a.m. in the morning, go and collect papers that you're going to sell. So in the afternoon, we sell fine art. I used to ride the fine arts bicycle. The bicycle that has no brake. You will use your leg like this, no slippers, to stop the bicycle when you get to a place where it's coming steepy. So those are the good and ugly of our childhood days, which I cannot enumerate all to you here today within this short period.
We actually thank God for those experiences that have actually shaped you into who you are today.
Yeah.
Now, moving ahead, of course, you were born in a Christian home, although you came from the family of the Ifa priests. Now, but you were born in a Christian home.
Yep.
So, at what point, despite the fact that you were born in a Christian home, at what point did you surrender your life to Christ?
Yeah. I've been in the church as choir members when I was around 9 years old at Coerced, in First Baptist Church, Coerced. That was the time I did baptism in 1973. Okay. But despite that we did baptism, we did not know the meaning until 1983, when I started working in local government then, in 1979, October 15, as local government. We call it Irekpodun local government. And later, as a miscellaneous officer, due to the political climate of that time, I just found myself being sent for 6 months promotional training. So we went there to do that. I became court clerk. After that, later I became the one in charge of all the court, the Gracie customary court, in that environment. And in that situation, I met Christ. Because my experience at that point was terrible. When I became court clerk, one thing needed to be done is that you needed to be initiated. As young as I was then, just 21 years old. So at the end of the day, I was compelled or lured into these diabolical things. Initiation on my head, initiation on my neck, initiation on my hands, initiation on my leg, on my feet, on my abdomen. You will sit on the mortar and you'll be fully initiated to be fully prepared as court clerk. But by my little Christian background, I was a little bit afraid. So, but I told my elderly ones, because I was not with my father then. My father was in the womb, just still going about teaching. I was still with my stepfather, who was the one who brought me to the local government environment. He said, no, don't reject it. If you reject it, will kill you. So most of the things I give them money. But the initiation I went through it physically. So one day there was a crusade in our town and I became restless. It was like the searchlight was on me. The preacher wore white cloth, white jacket. And after the whole thing, he said, you need to give your life to Jesus. At that time, I have all kinds of fetish, calabash. It must not touch ground. It has to be hung. I have stone that I have to keep inside oil, palm oil. By the time the man started preaching, it touched my heart. And I said, today I'm going to give my life. After the message, I came out and I gave my life to Jesus. And the man counseled me practically, privately. And I brought all that I was using, drop it to him. So at that point of transition, it was a very hectic period. I ran out of the Baptist. I was no more attending Baptist church. I was not satisfied. At that time, I've gone back to school. And after my college education, I was posted to a secondary school, Baptist Grammar School, Rita, Erua, to be a teacher there. From there, I did not stay long there because after some time, they reposted me again to Lanlate. They posted me to a school called BTP Grammar School, Lanlate. That Lanlate Grammar School, later on, it was matched again with Bioko Grammar School because it was junior secondary school. So they matched it with Bioko Grammar School. So I now became teacher in Bioko Grammar School at the end of the day. That was where God called me fully to the ministry. A Form 4 student. He came to me and he said, okay, I saw you in the dream today. God is calling to be a pastor. Yeah, the way you comport yourself, yeah, the way you do this, you ought to be a pastor. Okay, the pastor. I hated the work of pastor because of two things. I have been church secretary for years. And the way we talk about pastors in his presence is different from the way we talk about pastor in his absence. So those kind of things began to hurt me. I really struggled with it. I battled with that decision. Until God arrested me himself, he said, I am calling you. Listen to that deeper life man who said, go back to Bethel. There are a lot of people to pull out of fire. I became restless. Already I have obtained form to go to University of Ife. It was University of Ife then for English education, and I've been given admission.
Wow.
So despite that they were telling me go to, I said no. But I called my parents at home. They said the seminary form is out. I should take the form. I took the form. Just to satisfy, I took the form. But my mind was that the contribution I was making there was to take me to University of Ife. All of a sudden, they just called me from the seminary. Dr. Fadeji called my parents. And my parents called me saying, I did not come for interview. I said, when was the interview held? They told me. I said, nobody told me. I did not hear that there was any interview. I didn't receive any letter of interview. They forced me that day, compelled me that day, I should come. And that very day, when the students have resumed, that very day, I did my interview and I was given a letter of, and they said I should resume. I said, these people don't catch me. I must confess to you, I was not willing to be Baptist pastor the way they treat pastors. I hate it. But eventually when God says I have to, so I have no choice.
Well, it's actually a good one because those days have actually also built you into not becoming a local church pastor alone, but also you've served in the association, conference, and of course now in the convention.
I got to Baptist building as prison ministry chaplain in 1990.
Wow.
In fact, I've started work here before I graduated from seminary. Our graduation was June 2. I started work here June 1.
Wow.
So I want to give God that glory.
That's great.
So and that prison ministry, another experience or journey in life that toughened my heart. Because I have to be going to prisons, ministering to prisoners, sharing the gospel to them. And out of 230 prisons in Nigeria, I was able to tour 67 with Bible in my hand. I always appreciate Dr. Kehinde Olasoji Anifowoshi, the then director, who is now late, who gave me the opportunity to serve as prison chaplain. And after me, there was no other prison chaplain in the convention. All to the glory of God. My pastoral career started in the Baptist building headquarters under late Dr. Kehinde Olasoji Anifowoshi and the then General Secretary, late Reverend Dr. S.T. Ola Akade. And that was when I started here in 1990. Along the line, I remained here and I rose to the point of acting director in this place. Because of redeployment of staff, they transferred me from adult education department when there was a crisis in the department. So they took me to church training department. At that time, I still went with my prison ministry. But later when they employed another coordinator, they didn't call him chaplain again, they called him prison ministry coordinator. So they say I should return that one. So I faced the church training work as a writer, editor. From there I grew within the rank. I was in charge of writing of church training materials, life commitment, and the rest for 10 solid years. From there I grew within the rank and I became acting director for the department when the substantive director then, late Reverend Dr. T.A. Akade, was on follow. That was the days when the convention directors, they were used to be given 6 months to go on follow. So they went on sabbatical. And there was what we call reorganization of the convention and restructuring of the Baptist building. But as God spoke to me, myself and others like Dr. Melanie Lola and the rest, we moved out because God called me. I had the call of God to be pastor of First Baptist Church, Ado Ekiti, 1998. But when I was going, convention said there was no replacement for me, so I remained here till August. So I went with the official car given to me. Because as head of the division, 1998, I was using official car. Coordinators were given official car. So I was in Ado Ekiti. Coming here, I did not take salary in Ado Ekiti till August 1999. It was Baptist Building paying my salary. So I became conference president there. You understand? They call it conference secretary. It was then we started conference secretary. We started a new conference of Ekiti Baptist Conference. That one was created out of Undo Baptist Conference. It used to be Undo Ekiti that time. So by 1999, I'd already left this place to Ado Ekiti, becoming full-time pastor of a local church and part-time conference secretary of the conference. After a while, I received another call from that place. After I spent 5 years, 3 months in that place, I received another call to be full-time conference executive secretary of Osun Baptist Conference. So I've started my second term in the Ekiti because it used to be 3 years that time. So I jumped that one as God has enabled me to respond to the calling of Osun. I moved on to Osun and I spent 10 quality years with Osun Baptist Conference. And after my completion in Osun Conference, my intention was to go and start a church in UK. So I traveled to UK and already I've worked upon starting a church called Comfort Baptist Church, and I've gotten support for that church. But I came home to seek for assistance because I got a property to buy, and I came home because that time convention used to give certain amount of money for assisting pastors on mission and the church planting activities. And I came to the general secretary, not president there. Reverend Dr. Ayokunle had just gone. And I told him, but he discouraged me from going there. He told me so many things. And at the end of the day, I saw the need to respect his counsel because he had been to that place before. And he opened my eye to see the need to serve with them here. Is that possible? I thought it was a joke. More so, by that time, as I was talking with you, I was a little slow, just about to run up. Because as I was running up, people were asking me, where will he go? Who will absorb him again? The convention called me to come and to open up ecumenism section, unit. They didn't even call it a department, unit. The intention was that eventually in the future it would grow, but it was a unit they called for. So when I got there, I came with my wife. They asked us to write vision, we wrote vision. We never saw anybody. I never thought of a ecumenism department. I did not lobby with anybody. Did not discuss this with anybody. They were the one who came to me. It wasn't my idea. It was the idea of the convention. So they told me that the then General Secretary of Baptist World Alliance mandated them to start ecumenism department in the General Convention. And they spoke to me, and I accepted. They asked me to write the vision. I wrote it. And I came here with my wife for interaction. I faced about 7 people, directors of the Baptist building, assistant general secretary that period. They were in the meeting, interactive session with us. And eventually, they asked us to resume. That was how we resumed here again in 2014, when I finished promotion in 2013. God enabled us in the process. Committees were set up to review the activities of ecumenism department. Committees of professors. 6 professors were in that committee. Yes. Professor Mrs. Garba was the chairperson of the committee on ecumenism department and formation of NGO. She was the one who recommended EDAPI that we are bearing today, Ecumenism for Development and Peace Initiative. I give kudos to that wonderful economist. The woman is unassuming. She's highly dynamic, brilliant, and seasoned. So I want to thank God for her. So that's why I got here. And eventually, convention upgraded that unit to a department, to a directorate. And here I am finding myself in this directorate amidst all kinds of challenges. God has made it to stand. As I've told you, Psalm 118, verse 13 has always been my key in that area. So many pushing. God continues to help us.
So before we go on Behind the Pulpits, we cannot, close this session or this episode of Behind the Pulpits without mentioning the family. How have you been able to balance being a pastor, husband, a father, while not affecting the ministry? How have you been able to balance it?
Thank you. One thing I want to give God the glory for is that I am not a perfect human being. But God has helped me so much. I believe that when God gives you a wife, that is the greatest treasure one can attain in life. I met my wife by revelation. I've known her over 12 years before that time. But I never know you could be my wife. In my life, we don't even talk. We are not close, but I've seen her before. When I was at home as court clerk, those days, when I've not even known anything beyond baptism as a Christian. I've not been born again there, I've not given my life to Christ that time. But after giving my life to Christ, after I've left the seminary as well, when I've started working, I was seeking the face of God. The direction I was going before wasn't the direction of God for me. I observed that, I realized that I slept and I saw my wife in my dream. And I began to look for her. And I called a friend. Where is so lady? She said, yes, she's so place. And I went there. I traced her with another pastor, a friend also who was pastoring that time. And I get to the place, I met my wife in that hospital, working with another doctor, Dr. Abel Adegoke. And my wife shared the same story. She slept and she received me.
Wow.
Can you imagine? So I must confess to you that that has been a foundation God has laid for my family that nobody can understand. Because I have a unique wife, very understanding. By the kind of job I do, I am not a local church pastor for so long, where you and your husband will sit down together every day, you do what they call a lodi, and you chat every morning. I've always been a pastor who goes to work from 8 a.m. to 5 or 6 p.m., come back home, or come on weekend. But God gave me a wonderful woman. God gave me a wonderful woman who has made my ministry to be above board. Even in the midst of rumor, the woman stood to the glory of God. Oh. We have some matrimonial ethical principles which has been helping us. My wife is so intelligent, so admiring, so understanding, so loving and bold, very courageous to face our husband on any issue, discuss the issue and trash it. Likewise I do. We have never got a day that if we are going to fight, we have a misunderstanding, I will go and sleep in different beds. Never. We have never got a day that we need to say because we have a little misunderstanding and then we are not hitting the house. It's never happening. In my marriage since 1993, I want to give God that glory for that. And I want to give kudos to my children. I have 2 boys, 2 girls. My firstborn is a lady, an international lawyer, a solicitor in UK. My second-born is a medical practitioner. She's in UK as well. And my third-born is an engineer, mechatronic engineer. He's in a place working in Abuja. And my last-born is a physiotherapist. To the glory of God. I have children who are so normal, who are so obedient, who are living their life to honor God. I thank my children for all they have been doing, and I give God the glory. It's not by man, it's not by strength, it's not by power, but by the Spirit of the Holy Ghost. So thank God for the wife I have, who is cooperating and still cooperating. My wife is a discipler.
I'll continue to cooperate.
She discipled a lot of pastors when we were in the seminary. And we have a principle. Despite that I'm not at home. I'm at all time. Whenever I move, my wife moves. And she has suffered in the ministry because of that one. My wife was on level 13 in Ibadan. When I moved to Adekiti, she was dropped to level 7 because we didn't get another job. We couldn't continue the job. She has to drop to level 7 in Adekiti. She started all over again from level 7. She was only a Catholic hospital only here in Ibadan. But when we get to Adekiti, we have to look for a job. Eventually, we got government job. She was placed on level 7. They said they can't come with that one. She started again. My wife. When our mate have become chief matron, my wife was still struggling. I did look at her. When I left Adekiti, I said, my wife, I'm leaving Adekiti to Shogbo. Oh, yeah, move. She followed me. Kudos to Bola Tito Temitope. Adidich, the wife of Olusojo Yewole, testimony Onifade. So I've been able to manage my family. That's why as I'm here, there's no weekend. As long as I'm in the country, except if I'm not in the country, I will see my wife. And she comes as well.
That's good.
She comes as well. So I want to thank God for that opportunity I have with you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Reverend Dr. Testimony Olusoji Onifade. Thank you. Oyewole, yes. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for the journey that you've shared with us. And that's much we'll be taking on Behind the Pulpit for this week. Until next time, when I bring another minister of God into spotlight. I am Victoria Anyoleye. Stay blessed.